Good evening, everyone. Happy Jumhad Monday, the best day of the week. Today, I will run in a circle for 2 hours. Generally in a circle, that is the general direction I'm moving. However, I will be in a very zigzaggy pattern. Good times. Let's just get into it. I don't have time for this. Now, for those of you who weren't here last time, I am going through with my playthrough of the final level of Junk Food 4. However, the final level of Junk Food 4 is a fucking troll level, which appears that what in the end you are doing is running around a giant-ass circle 4 times. But it takes 15 minutes to get to a tower, because there's 4 towers. It takes 15 minutes to get to a tower, and 15 minutes to get back from the tower. Then you get to run around to the other side of the tower, which takes another 15 minutes. 2 and 15 minutes back. You will throw a switch per side per tower. When you have done that, the second level of the towers will unlock, allowing me to run around the circle a second time to do it all over again. And I will have to do that at least 4 times. That I can tell. And then there will be some sort of fight. I'm assuming, the way this is going, there will be some sort of fight with 12,000 enemies present after I throw all these switches. That is my assumption. I have no evidence to guarantee that this is in fact the case, but this is the assumption we're going to go on. I believe I have done half a rotation now, and this will be approximately a 16-hour affair. So several weeks of my life of Doom Mod Monday and any extra streams I manage to squeeze in will be solely me running around in this fucking circle. Because some map maker thought it would be really fucking funny to do this to me. So I apologize ahead of time for anybody who shows up and attempts to support me through this endeavor, because there will be nothing to see. However, I feel like I need to do this, A, because I hate to leave a WOD unfinished. I absolutely hate to leave a WOD unfinished. Especially one that I've spent as much time on as I have this WOD. Because I have spent a long time with Junk Food 4. Several months, in fact. And to leave it on the final mission, because I just don't have the tenacity, would just be an absolute shame. And I feel like I owe it to the fine map makers who put together this very, very good Mega WOD to at least see it through to the end, even though this final mission is intended to be a troll mission. It is here purely for my suffering. And in fact, will result in probably extremely low viewership. Because I also feel like this might have been here just to fuck with Doom streamers. Because anybody who's familiar with the WOD will know that all I will be doing, in fact, is running around in this motherfucking circle. Blech. I ate popcorn and I'm getting kernels stuck in my gums. Worst feeling. So, they're not going to want to show up and just watch me run around in this circle. And then, what do I talk about? With this dead-ass air. Because there is nothing to kill. There is no shooting at anything. There is no, platforming to do. There is nothing exciting. This is, in fact, the whole fucking WOD. It is giving me an opportunity to practice my SR50s, though. Something that I typically don't get a lot of opportunity to do. I have a little improving to do on it, though. See, other people who are, like, really good at this would not need to do all the little micro adjustments that I need to do in order to get it to work. They would just be able to do it. But it's a very good skill to learn if I want to continue being a striving member of the Doom community. Even though the Doom community does shit like this, so... But I guess considering that the whole WOD of Junk Food 4, in a lot of ways, was just an exercise in personal masochism, as I went through level after level that is basically meant to push your patience and sanity to the limit as you get overwhelmed over and over and over again by god-awful amount of enemies, which you would think would be okay given the insane weaponry you have on hand in this Mega WOD. But still manages to break you down as a person. And it just feels so fitting that the final map still tries to accomplish the same thing of breaking down your sanity, but without any enemies to do it. Just breaks your sanity without having you fire a single fucking shot. That's not true? Well, hello, Eody. You can clearly see that there are 12k enemies. That is true. There are, in fact, 12k enemies. I'm assuming near the end there might be a fight. I am assuming. But clearly I have some time. Unless one of these switches randomly makes enemies appear, which I have the sinking feeling it will not. This is my life for the next little while. Hello, Loser Corner. It is good to see you as always. You will see that I am doing the exact same thing I did last time. This stream will look no different than the previous one. I am sorry ahead of time. And the time before that, at least the stream before the last one, I only did Mortal Coil at the very end. So, it was only 15 minutes of the overall stream of me, fucking around like that. But now the entirety of the previous stream and the entirety of this stream will just be this. So, how are things Fuck. I forgot. So, how are things, Loser Corner? How's graduated life treating you? Does it feel weird that, the first... what was typically the first day of school is come and gone and you don't have to be involved with that? And Eody, welcome back in to what can only be described as the most fascinating Doom experience on Twitch. How are you doing this evening? You made lasagna over the weekend? You went all in on it too? Now, see, that sounds fucking delicious. I long for the day when I will once again be okay with making food that takes longer than 20 minutes. Alas. Alas, with kids, I don't know if that'll ever come to fruition. You went so far as to make your own noodles. Now that's hardcore. That is real hardcore. You haven't had a functioning kitchen for 7 months. So you wound up Poppage style. So how did you feed yourself during those 7 months? You know, like, how exactly did you give yourself sustenance? You ate out a lot, microwave meals too? Yes. The, oh, I think I got turned around. The, actually, let's say. The meal of champions everywhere. I'm almost done. Well, define almost, Jay. Depends on how you want to look at it. There are definitely less hours left in this WOD than there was when I started the WOD. I've definitely spent longer than 16 hours on the WOD so far, so at the end of the day, when you want to look at it that way, I am almost done as a measure of the total number of hours that I have spent in this WOD. There's like nothing left. The kitchen is done. The only thing I need to do is get everything where it belongs and install the under cabinet lights, but the kitchen itself is fully functional. Oh, you're getting like those cabinet lights and everything. You are fancy AF, sir. You're still cleaning dishes that haven't been washed in 7 months. But if you haven't had a functioning kitchen, you don't need to wash the dishes for 7 months. So why do you need to wash them? You haven't used them. They can't possibly be dirty. Dust is not a thing. Dust is a conspiracy. Brought to you by Big Mr. Clean. The big cleaner companies who just want you to waste money. Cleaning something that doesn't actually exist. I feel like I turned myself around. Yeah, I did. It's pretty nice. They're covered in construction dust, plus some of them were sitting in the sink when raw sewage backed up into it. All I'm hearing is flavoring. That's just... That's just flavoring. A good chef would learn to work with it, you know? Eh. Back down we go. So, what you up to this evening, Jay? Are you ready for some hard-hitting doomage? This is what people come to the Doom channels to watch. It's this, specifically this. Some people are like, oh, I want to watch people get world records, but no, we all know deep down this is the content that they come to see. This is going to put you right to sleep soon? Would you like me to do this in the form of ASMR? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Naxius ASMR. We are going to be doing Mortal Coil for the next 17 hours. And then an ad will play right in the middle of the video. Blow your eardrums out. I don't have the mic for ASMR. You're right, I should invest in one. Just for this level. For this level alone, I will invest in an ASMR mic. Iodi, how do you feel about ASMR? Are you pro ASMR? Would you like some Doom ASMR to make your day better? I'm gauging interest. I say I'd be filling some sort of niche that hasn't been filled before. ASMR is a sex thing, right? It has to be a sex thing. It's not for me. Okay, well, it depends on how you want to look at it. Because unfortunately, we live in a world where everything is a sex thing. Everything has the possibility to be a sex thing. Teletubbies, sex thing. Like, unfortunately, if you've ever heard tales of the dreaded fan fiction, there is nothing that's off the table for a sex thing. And ASMR is unfortunately no different. But the general gist of ASMR and what it's for is it's just a neurological response that some people have to certain stimuli. Some people experience tingles or chills when listening to a soft-spoken voice or certain noises. And it's not necessarily a sexual feeling. It's just, you know, like a pleasant, like, ooh, feeling. That everybody can experience it. But I remember when the Game Grumps... but a lot of when the Game Grumps joked about doing ASMR, Dan did mention that he used to get those kinds of same responses from listening to Bob Ross. And if you've ever watched a Bob Ross episode, that man's got a beautiful fucking voice. Or had, I guess, unfortunately. Just a beautiful fucking voice. And he can make you fall asleep to that. He can give you all sorts of pleasurable feelings just by this soft voice. So, not necessarily a sex thing. As an industrial music enjoyer, ASMR is kind of your... a lot of 9 Inch Nails. Generally speaking, whenever I encountered ASMR, it features a camera either focused on a girl's long, perfectly manicured nails or her plump, glistening lips, so I assume it's a sex thing. But again, unfortunately, anything nice turns into a sex thing. There's some 9 Inch Nails in there, but lots of Skinny Puppy. A name I'm going to butcher, so I won't try. Front 242. Nitzer Ebb. Fotis. Any of those? Jay does not partake in enough metal, I see. Bob Ross started as a sex thing. There was never a point when people weren't all over that sexy, sexy man. But no, see, that's the thing. People took Bob Ross, which was an ASMR gold mine, and then perverted it like we do everything else. You can't tell me there isn't some sort of Bob Ross porn out there. You can't convince me. It's Rule 42 of the internet. If you can think of it, a porn exists of it. Skinny Puppy is the most important of those. They were Canadian synth pop dark wave industrial act from Vancouver. You don't get 9 Inch Nails without Skinny Puppy. So Yoda, you're not talking about, so you're not like a metal head. You're like a synthwave kind of guy. You like your syntheses. Enjoy some metal from time to time, but I wouldn't call myself a metalhead. My thing is, I would never used to be a metalhead, but in recent years, I found out if I ever want to hear an electric guitar, I basically had to be listening to metal. They don't make bands like they used to. So, as a result, I've gotten into, in the last 10, 15 years, maybe even a little bit longer, but I'd say 10, 15 years, been getting into more metal, more types of metal. Or at least extremely heavy rock. One of the others. There's always the blues, plenty of electric guitar there. Unfortunately, I have tried listening to the blues and I cannot get into it. I have done my damnedest. Because so many people love the blues, just like so many people love jazz. And I can't. I try listening to jazz. Jazz is chaos. I can't handle it. Because you see, I grew up with what my father used to play. And my father was a Led Zeppelin, Rush, Aerosmith, Scorpions, you know, The Who, all your classic, like, rock bands. Right? So when I talk about electric guitar, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I liked rock, but there's not a lot of rock anymore, it feels like. How do you feel about Lou Reed's Metal Machine music? I understand that people unironically enjoy it. Well, judging by the fact that you're saying it like that, Jay, I'm assuming that you can't understand how someone can unironically enjoy it. But I will also say, when it comes to my music taste, I did grow up in the 90s, which was the time of, like, Eurodance. And ever since then, I still find myself periodically listening to dance or techno or electronic music to go with my metal. Hard rock, metal, techno. Metal Machine music is unlistenable to on its own, but I actually informed some of the things that would come into the industrial scene in the 80s and 90s. Yes, let's talk music history. I know nothing of this topic. For a more refined version of Metal Machine music, check this out. I would love to, but I'll probably get copyright struck. But I will definitely listen to it afterward, because I am looking for more Metal Machine shit. At the end of the day, my taste in music is all over the fucking place. I'm the same guy that can listen to All They Fear Is You. The Only Thing They Fear Is You from Doom Eternal on repeat. And then immediately switch to, like, Caramel Dancing. My brain chemistry's fucked. Oh no, you can probably get away with this one. I have an aversion to playing anybody else's shit on stream anymore after I got copyright struck. Not copyright claimed, which is I'm used to. I got copyright struck. And it's made me extremely paranoid as a result. Because as a tiny streamer, I would have very little in the way of recourse if I get absolutely fucked by that stupid system. Because we all know that the YouTube, you know, AI that determines whether or not something is a copyrightable stuff is very good and doesn't make any mistakes at all. You know, I wish I had taken better stock of which tower I started on. I literally don't remember the first tower I started on. So I cannot tell you how close I am to getting the first layer done. I feel like if I don't get the first layer done today, it'll definitely be very quickly in the next stream. But I don't know for certain. Hey Jay, did you hear about the streamer Ludwig that started a, as an experiment, started a brand new Twitch channel? And streamed to nobody? And I, like, fucked them up. Shit. I forgot. It's interesting that I can still wall run right there. I have no idea what those are doing. Oh. I mean, I guess that's literally what I was doing. True story. The switches on the tower open the switches in the center. The switches in the center open a step on a tower. Oh, so it's not automatically when I do all the switches on a tower on one level that the next level opens up. I have to come back to the center to throw another switch to get all those barriers to come down. Is what you're saying. Well, that's good to know. See, I was kind of hoping that once I got all the switches on a level, the next level would immediately open up, so I wouldn't have to run back to the middle. But, guess that was too much to ask for. So I gotta make sure when I head back to the middle now, I should at least double check to make sure I have all the switches thrown. Because I would hate to go to the middle and then get to a tower and then find out, oops, I've done a forget. So, Iodi, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you did not play this level. Considering there were other levels you did not play, I'm going to go ahead and assume you did not do this to yourself. You poked around, did a little play testing, but did not complete it. I see, I see. You know, clip to the switches in order to make sure they worked. What? You didn't just do this? Oh, you half-assed? It is really funny when you think about it, how if you get rid of these barriers, the level takes like 2 minutes. So my next question is, if you knew what the map maker was doing, why didn't you stop them? Why did you allow this abomination to exist? It does take 30 minutes? Okay. The map was done in like 3 to 6 hours. It was done before anyone knew it existed. So, hang on. What you're telling me is it took less time to put the level together than it takes to complete the level. Like, usually it's the other way around. It takes longer to put a level together than it is to play it. Although, I guess they weren't doing any fight balancing, so what does it matter? Ah! Well, again, I keep saying there's no fight balancing. I have no idea what the 12,000 enemy fight is going to look like. I do know that there is a BFG and a rocket launcher in the middle, which implies that it will at least look like a normal fight. But I have no idea what to expect. But so maybe at some point there'll be monster balancing. But I guess if you don't have to worry about monster balancing, it's probably pretty quick to slap a level together, especially if you know how to construct it. Given my absolutely zero experience with Doom Builder, it would take me like 25 minutes to figure out how a door works, so, you know. Even as someone who has a very, very basic knowledge of how triggers and stuff work, enough that I can kind of understand what's happening when I look at a trigger in Doom Builder. I would not know how to do it myself from scratch. So even making this would take me like a year. Not 3 to 6 hours. I apologize for any yawning I am doing. I am not bored. Believe it or not, I am just exhausted. My weekend was busy as fuck. Mostly because on one of those days, my daughter had a birthday party to attend. And I don't know if you guys ever been one of those parents that, you know, awkwardly has to go to a birthday party for a child. Yeah. There's pressure to talk to the other adults, and I have no desire to do that. Okay. I was trying to see if I could not pick up the bottle. But also a thing I've noticed at the numerous birthday parties I've gone to is that I understand that parenting's hard. I'm doing it right now. I can tell you it's hard. It's exhausting. And it's borderline boring at times because, like, even if my daughter was like, Daddy, let's play Minecraft, she's not playing Minecraft. She's fucking around in the chicken pen. You know? But to me, it's like when we go to a birthday party, The only true hard part is pretending to be interested in somebody else's crotch ponds. I mean, at that age, too, like, my daughter's 6, right? Like, it's like, oh, what's going on with your child right now? Oh, well, you know, they got fired from Target. Also, if you wanted, I could babysit you through a Mapping 101 stream. I've thought about it, but I have crippling anxiety. Oh, that's where Jay disappeared to. He disappeared to hear to listen to the song. He said it had a super catchy beat. And they listened to collapse, which he wouldn't even say had a beat. That's how they get you. They make you think there's a beat when there isn't. But yeah, I was gonna say, so I go to this I go to this birthday party, and the thing that immediately catches me off guard is all the parents basically just don't want to interact with their children. Like, we went to a party and it was at a gym, and the parents basically let the kids pick up equipment and then ignored the kids as much as they could. They sat on the bleachers and got on their phones. And this always struck me as so fucking weird, because even at some point, browsing my phone for 2 hours sounds boring as shit. You know? So I go, you know what? I'm going to play with my kid. But the problem is I don't get to play with just my kid, because once I start doing fun shit with my kid, all the kids with the parents that aren't doing fun shit with them start trying to play with me too. We're on the gym floor. My daughter found one of those, like, parachutes, you know, that we used to play with back in elementary school. And we're playing with it, and then she ends up sitting on it while I drag her around the gym. Not a problem. But, of course, eventually one of her friends sees her being dragged around and says, I want to get on. And it just escalates from there to the point that there's 5 kids on the fucking parachute. And guys, I don't know if you can tell just by looking at me, I am not a strong individual. And 5 kids is heavier than you think it is. I start sweating like an absolute buffoon. Like, people, play with your kids at the parties so I don't have to. It was an 11-minute song. Oh, that's not even a record. You used to listen to Pink Floyd all the time. The instruments in NAMM were saws, grinders, and diesel engines. There wasn't a single traditional instrument except for the claps. The grinder being the spare replacement. I mean, that would be pretty impressive, actually. Taking things that are decidedly not musical instruments, but mixing them in such a way that they sound like it. That's peak. I kind of figured you meant snare, but I was like, I'll let him correct it. I would never presume. They use the grinder as a rhythm instrument, so kind of like a snare drum. They announced in the song with the line, "Let's start the utopian side grinder." Now, do they do concerts? Do they use the grinder in concerts? Is that a thing that they can do? Or is it just like if you go see a DJ set where they basically just get up on stage and press play? But pretend that they're doing other things besides just sitting there and pressing play. They are known to use machines in their music. Now, see that's baller. That is so crazy, and I love it. They probably don't use 2 of the machines featured in Nam Live. Why are they too much of a pussy to use those instruments? Oh, all of the machines. I thought you were being fancy and just giving me the Roman numeral 2. They probably don't want to drag a 2-stroke diesel engine with them wherever they go. Well, why the fuck not? Hang on, shouldn't I be able to see the other side? Oh no, that must have been the switch I lowered. Okay. Yeah, so when I get back to the middle, I'm gonna look for all those switches. Now, Iodi, as much as I would appreciate you trying to walk me through a Mapping 101 stream, I can almost guarantee you I'd have you driven mad 20 minutes in. Because I'd be like, look, I made a room! Look at my room! I'm going to put a thing in my room. And you'd be sitting there being like, Nax, like, Jesus Christ. It's just a room. You put 4 walls... You put 4 walls, and you placed a Cacodemon in it. This is... I mean, like, I'll be like, I put a health potion! Don't you see I put a health potion? I greatly underestimate your patience. You still remember what it was like to make your first map? It's good to know that people that get good at something, some of them actually remember what it was like to not be good at that thing yet. Which is why I absolutely hate people who online game, you know? Like, just... I, to this day, refuse to load up League of Legends because of the shit I've heard from people that can't handle losing a fucking video game. And they will lose their goddamn mind at you for not being perfect at the fucking thing. There are some who would argue you're still not good at it. Well, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters how good you are at something. There will always be those that say... There'll always be those that say, oh, you're not good at it. I try to, when I look at things that I've done, I try to make it so that I feel good about it and I don't care about anybody else. I try to take feedback and everything like that into account, obviously. I don't just go, no, 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 no. My way. But I want to feel good about something after I've made it, and I don't care if anybody else feels, good about it afterward. But I'm also in a position where I don't need to care about it, how anyone feels about the quality of anything that I do. They're not cut out for fighting games. At least the thing with fighting games is you're by yourself versus one other person. The problem with something like League of Legends is they will blame all shortcomings on the other players. And be like, if it wasn't for you being shit, I would have won. Right? And as someone who played World of Warcraft for an ungodly number of years, and still plays it periodically, but nowhere near to the extent that I used to, it used to drive me up the fucking wall how I would try to do like a dungeon or a raid for the first time, and people would only be okay with you fucking it up if it was the first week the raid or dungeon was out. The moment the second week rolled around, they were like, they'll just be like, "Oh, why can't you like, how are you not figured that dungeon out? It's been out for like a week or 2 weeks." And I'd be like, "I was on vacation. You, like, it might have been out for a week, but this is my first time." They'd be like, "No, watch a video. Watch a walkthrough video. Stop wasting my fucking time." Rah. Some people cannot handle the incontrovertible truth that they are the sole reason why they lost. Well, I blame some of that on streamer culture, to be honest. Like, if you don't keep up with streamer culture, I'll give you a rundown. Streamer culture fucking sucks. Okay? And the thing is, people, like, most people who stream, like, I would say a good 75% more of people who stream because they want to make it as a streamer. They're not doing it for a hobby. Now, they may not say, like, "Oh, I'm going to be the next ninja," or whatever, but they're doing it because they want to make it as a streamer. And the thing is, if you want to make it as a streamer, especially as a gaming streamer, there's two types of gaming streamers that are actually popular. Ones that are super entertaining, that's one. Or two, those who are absolutely fantastic at the game. And if a person doesn't think that they're super entertaining, they want to be super good at the game. And then what happens is they can't accept when they fuck up, because it would lose the illusion that they were great at the game and are therefore worth watching. They try to build this whole persona that they're really good at the game or that they are extremely intelligent and smart. And because of that, they never want to concede ground. I mean, if anybody knows the legend of the streamer Pirate Software now, you just... And if you know anything about that, it's really just one guy who had built a reputation around being very intelligent and good at a video game. And then when any of that comes into question, he just couldn't handle it and then lost his fucking mind. Which I do think is one of the reasons why I gravitated towards the Doom community a little bit. I'm not... Because if you're not intending to make it as a streamer, I mean, where else is kind of more homely than the Doom community, you know? Plus, there's no one necessarily yelling at me about how I suck at the game, because if I suck at the game, it doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form. So unless they want to just laugh at somebody for sucking at the game, in which case I'm like, dude, I have a mortgage. I have real problems. I don't care about some fucking idiot coming in here and being like, "Oh, you suck at Doom." It's like, thanks, I guess. I kind of already knew that. Thanks for stopping by. And then I can imagine that because of the lack of that kind of competition amongst each other, people are more welcoming and being like, oh, you're making your first map, let me help you. You know? That being said, I have periodically looked on the Doom forums, and there is some messed up individuals on the Doom forums. So, you know, I mean... it's not all squeaky clean, you know? I saw the Discord EOD that the group did a spin-off of fast food. Did you contribute a map to fast food? Which I briefly thought about playing after I finished junk food, but I was like, I think I might need to leave this food shit behind for a little bit. I was like, man, should I go back and play Junk Food 1? No, the time frame was too short, and you've been suffering through a long burnout of Doom mapping post Secret Santa 2 release. So, when did you work on these Junk Food 4 maps? Because this mod released this year, right? It was before Secret Santa 2? Okay. Do you think it's just like a sort of writer's block type deal? Mapper's block, if you will? Or are you just like, man, I just can't do this right now. I can't be bothered to come up with a brand new idea. Burnout on the fact that your home has been a wreck for the past 7 months. Yeah, I guess that would be very distracting, wouldn't it? Don't worry, I got 2 kids. My house is never clean. It is always a wreck. Enough that my brother makes passive-aggressive comments when he comes to visit and their house is decently clean. Asshole. It was worse than that. Your kitchen was... Yeah, I know. I'm being facetious. No, like that's an actual mess. You know, right? That's a real mess with actual dirt and no working appliances needed for cooking, except in a microwave, I guess. But then at the end, you get to go look at your shit and go, man, this is fucking beautiful. Look how fucking beautiful this kitchen is. Okay, I'm just gonna... I'll go to the middle after this one. Finger break. Finger break. I should have done finger exercises before I did this stream. Should have done some stretches. Shit. Okay, Gym Guy, what are you doing? This is the after? See, now, I can look at that. Oh, now, that's beautiful, man. That is sleek AF. I technically need to redo my kitchen, but I'm like, I'm trying, like, that would require money, and I think what I'm going to do is just wait till the whole kitchen collapses and just keep putting it off until the whole thing comes down and I'm forced to do it. That seems to be the correct strategy. Hasn't worked, hasn't steered me wrong so far. Whoops. I'm going through a different, or you can just wait until raw sewage backs up into your kitchen and ruins everything and do it all with insurance money. Well, I guess there's a silver lining, isn't there? Oops. Oh, how'd you afford the new kitchen? Well, you see, raw shit went all over my kitchen. And luckily, I purchased the raw shit insurance package, so they had to redo my whole kitchen. In fact, I'm kind of mad that the shit didn't make it to the living room, because I would have gotten a new living room out of it, too. That's very accurate. I was literally bucket brigading someone else's poop. Luckily, as someone who's had 2 children now, I am desensitized to shit of all shapes and sizes. So it probably wouldn't ruin me as an individual like it would have pre-kids, but I can't imagine even being desensitized to it. I don't believe I'd be having a very good time. I think I would still be like mentally scarred afterward. Just maybe not as much therapy would be needed afterward. It was a very bad 24 hours. Did you have to have an insurance person come over to see the shit? I'd have them take note of the shit. And then have them try to determine, like, maybe you tossed the shit around in here for insurance fraud. How do we know you didn't put shit all over the place? You might have had a particularly huge shit and then use that to your advantage. How could we be certain? There wasn't shit all over the place. You were very diligent. Yeah, but you still had to explain, like, hey, raw sewage backed up. And they might be like, well, maybe you were the one who backed it up. Because I can see an insurance, like, with any insurance, they are looking for any excuse to try and not give you money. That's the one good thing about car insurance usually, though, right? It's a condo. You have no control or liability over the pipes in the walls or under the slab. Yes, but you see, you could have just smeared shit and said it came out of the sink. Unless you have a video of your sink exploding. How do we know that your sink actually exploded, sir? It's the same thing with health insurance, you know? Like, hey, I need to purchase a sleep apnea machine because I have sleep apnea. And the insurance company will be like, no, because it's your own fault because you're fat. Be less fat and maybe we'll give you a sleep apnea machine. Hello, insurance company. My doctor prescribed this medication and says I need it to survive. And the insurance company will say, no, you don't. You absolutely do not. I'm not covering that shit. But anyway, I do suppose that is the advantage of living in a condo. You don't have to yourself be liable for that kind of stuff. But as somebody who has lived in an apartment building in my lifetime, which had families with kids in it, I was like, I don't think I would ever live in that situation while I have kids. Both for my sanity and anybody who has to live under or next to us. It helps us show heavy UHC so I don't have to play Super Luigi Brothers with the CEO. Damn. It's bad that we have a name for that now. Whoops. Capitalism, motherfucker. I'm not even anti-capitalism, but I just look at everything that's going on and I'm like, can you be surprised people are anti-capitalism? Can you really? Phew. Because now I actually did have that happen to me with the medication I was prescribed to deal with my amazingly huge cholesterol levels. I was prescribed a drug to help with the huge cholesterol levels. And I went to my insurance and was like, hi, this really expensive drug. I was told by my doctor that this would really help. And they were like, no. So I had to go back to my doctor and be like, I can't afford the medication that you said I needed. Or at the very least would be highly beneficial to me. And I'm Canadian. I thought Canadians had a government health system. So actually, yeah, so this actually is a good learning experience. So the Canada does have a government health system. But here's what's covered under the Canada health system. Anything that is needed right now. So if you need medical attention right now for any reason, that's covered. So the moment you're admitted to a hospital, anything that happens in the hospital is free. Because if you are checked into a hospital, clearly there is a reason. And everything that they are doing for you is for the reason that you are in the hospital. And therefore it is free. If you need medications prescribed in the hospital, that is also free. So, but anything that is considered not an emergency or is not a necessity is not paid for by the government. And see, technically, high cholesterol can lead to a problem that might require me to be in a hospital and have everything paid for. But until that moment happens, any prevention I do outside of a hospital is not paid for. Now, the drugs in Canada are priced way better than they are in the States due to various negotiations with the government, etc., etc., etc. But even then, that medication that I was talking about was still $175 a month ish. So yeah, but if I ended up having a heart attack in the and then went to the hospital and they determined it was a cholesterol problem, then I could take the medication for free because I was on the brink of death. But that's also why Canada doesn't pay for things like glasses or dental or anything like that. Because that's not considered, oh, you need that right now. So in those cases where you're dealing with shit outside of the hospital, you are you're dealing with almost the same issues as the typical American. Some of. I have never had an issue with, oh, that insurance is out of network. That is not a problem I have ever run into. Or have heard of other people running into. Hey, Lonnie Robinson. Have I played My House.wad? My House.wad is my favorite Doom WAD I've ever played. And it's not even close. I do often list two favorites when people ask me about my favorite Doom levels. I list My House.wad as my favorite Doom level. But if we're just talking about, hey, what's your favorite level that plays like a Doom level? That's a different story, but my most favorite thing that I've ever loaded up in WoW was My House. I do, if you are interested, on my YouTube channel, there are VODs for it. But yes, I most certainly played it. And I had an absolutely banger time playing it. I wish there was more experiences like that out there. Not even just with Doom, just in general. So, Iodi, I hope I have enlightened you as to the plight that is the Canadian healthcare system. Oh, that wasn't too much of a tangent for you. Can you, is there an angle I can... Shit, how do I get down? If I can pull this off, it's fucking hilarious. Okay. It was worth a try, because if I managed to do that, I would have saved myself half an hour. So, Lonnie, are you asking because, My House is definitely, one of your favoriteest things to watch people play. Because I love watching VODs of people playing my house for the first time. It's like one of my favorite pastimes. I'm not saying that knowing that that's not, like, that kind of Doom map is not everybody's cup of tea, but that WOD was tailor-made for me. Like, it's almost spooky how up my alley that WOD was. The best part is, okay, that was a neat map, I guess, and then being told keep playing through the underhalls. I mean, just even that alone was super cool. Like, sending you back to the house after playing through underhalls, you're like, okay. I've actually thought about in my head, and I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I just thought about I would make a video just talking about the fantastic design decisions that were made in that WOD and how important design can be. Not like the technicalities of how it was made, because, I mean, that video was made already. That series of videos was made already, actually. By David, I think, was the one that did those. And not a video that goes into, like, the lore or anything, because that video was also made. But just walking through the design decisions. Because, like, I almost can't help as I've watched more and more people play through my house, just how important design is for a level like that. And I really think it's important to highlight those kinds of things, because it would help you in making anything, really, to keep these kinds of design things in mind. However, as someone who is not a design expert, I do wonder if my gushing over it would just come off as, like, ignorant. Because I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I'm just somebody who's, like, obsessed with, like, these types of, like, horror stories that are, like, built into the real world, like how the map maker was posted on the forums and everything in the months leading up to its release, you know, in character. All of that stuff is just so cool to me. And then to cap it off with that amazing WOD, just mwah. Like, I was somebody that was super obsessed with the Cloverfield ARG that was going on before the movie came out. Eody, if you remember that, you know, fantastic piece of film that came out in 2008. I was one of those people who was, like, obsessed with the ARG. The movie was fine-ish. Like, as somebody who Moon was way, way better, so I've heard. No, but, like, Cloverfield, like, if you watch the film and you go into it with very objective eyes, the movie is, like you said, it's fine. It's a good movie. It is amazing how good you can make a movie look for like a $20 million budget, which is why it drives me nuts. Like, why are movies so expensive these days? Why do they cost like $1 gajillion to make when something like Cloverfield looks as good as it does on a $20 million budget? Like, what the fuck are you spending all your money on? There was no plot and almost zero real action. There's some plot, but most monster movies don't have a plot. But, you see, the whole thing is, people live when they should die and die when they should live. Well, everybody died in that movie. Oh, no. I guess one person lived. Spoilers for a 17-year-old movie. But no, I was super obsessed with the ARG they had going on leading up to the movie's release. Because the marketing for that movie was, to me, peak marketing. Right? 21 Cloverfield Lane was so much better, it's unreal. Yeah, no, 10 Cloverfield Lane was just a fantastic movie. Right? Like, it... Now, a lot of that was just... John Goodman, like, fucking knocked it out of the park. Like, carried that movie on his shoulders. But no, that was a really, really good movie. But you see, again, with 10 Cloverfield Lane, they also had an insane ARG that was being used as part of the marketing that I was unhealthily obsessed with. Unhealthily obsessed with leading up to the release of the movie. And I think that's the thing. It's like I was so deep in just the marketing itself that I was overhyped for the movie, and ended up loving them way more than I probably should have. I was only aware of the ARG after it was all said and done. Well, with the original ARG for the first movie, I had no idea what an ARG like really was. So I was vaguely aware of it and like was into certain parts of it and then didn't realize just how deep it went and didn't even know to keep looking. So by the time 10 Cloverfield Lane came out, I was so deep in the lore. Because I was like super obsessed with the ARG because I knew it would have one. So I was way into it. And I had like everybody at my work obsessed with it too by the time the movie came out. You're into the Portal ARG though? I'm actually disappointed I wasn't aware of the Portal ARG. But just what the original Cloverfield movie did initially, like, even just the first thing that they did, which was during Transformers, the original Transformers movie with Michael Bay, they showed a trailer for the original Cloverfield, and they released a trailer with a monster, and I'm a huge Godzilla fan. So, I was like, monster movie? And then the trailer ends, doesn't even tell you the title of the fucking movie. Just the date. And there's a tie-in website. And the tie-in website, they don't even advertise. You had to find it. And I'm like, that is so fucking baller. To the point that I leaned over to my little brother who was with me during the time, and I was like, we have plans for January 18th, 2008, sir. I was asleep but heard something about Lizzie Kaplan. Jay has an unhealthy obsession with Lizzie Kaplan. Cloverfield Paradox was such a massive nothing burger, though, especially after. Well, that movie single-handedly killed the Cloverfield franchise. Just absolutely fucking murdered it. In what way is it unhealthy? Jay, you just basically admitted that you were asleep during my stream. First, thanks for that, by the way. Hits me right in the self-esteem. And you take that, but apparently, I woke you up like a fucking sleeper agent by simply mentioning... I didn't even say Lizzie Kaplan's name, but mentioned a movie that she was in, and you're like, lock in. Third, that is unhealthy. And you need to seek professional help. But no, Cloverfield Paradox also didn't even have the same amount of ARG because they were going to release it later than they did, but then they sold it to Netflix instead of giving it a theatrical release. And they were like, and it's releasing right after the Super Bowl. So all the ARG that they had started just ended, and I was like, what the fuck? She was a talented actress that deserved to be a star, and I'm sure that her being naked in True Blood had nothing to do with it. Yeah, they sold it because it was a piece of shit. Yeah, but it was one of those things where it's kind of like, it's a piece of shit, but people wouldn't know that until after the opening weekend. And given the goodwill that they had with the other two movies, I think they would have made their money back. And wouldn't have had to worry about it. You're a fan of hers before True Blood? How dare I? Every time I fucking fall for that. I'm sorry, you were a fan of her before True Blood. Wasn't she naked in, Masters of Sex or something before that? Not helping beat the allegations here, Jay. Okay, I need to go down the south stairs. Oh, that was after True Blood? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not as up on Lizzie Kaplan's career as you clearly are. Okay, so I'm assuming that's the last switch I need there. So I have 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So if I go down this way... Is this, you're a fan of someone because they're naked? You're sexist? No, Jay, I just know you. Masters of Sex was a great show in season 1. One more and I'm going up. I can't wait. One more. Is Lizzie Kaplan even doing anything right now? By the way, do you know why there are no walls in the water pit? Because they didn't finish the level out. They gave up partway through. No, I'm kidding, Jay. Obviously, I know that you wouldn't be super obsessed with her just because she got naked. But let's just I'm just saying, let's not pretend that that didn't have anything to do with it. But no, I know that's not your main reason for being a fan of her. They ran out of available line defs. That's a disgusting sentence for me to hear. I didn't even know there was a cap on line defs. She was in the Das Boot series a couple of years ago. $26,000. Jesus Christ. Because believe me, I'm aware, Jay, that like nudity actually does not do anything to motivate me to watch something. I once tried watching Showgirls, and I gave up halfway through and never finished the movie. I was like, I cannot do this. This has been the worst hour of my life. I refuse to finish this. And that was before I had kids, when I had a lot more time to waste, and I still gave up. Nowadays, I don't want any time wasted. So I refuse to watch any show that's like, oh, you have to get past the first season. I'm like, no, then I'm not watching it. I'm not doing it. I have zero time to waste on bullshit. She was also in a Fatal Attraction series, which is hilarious. And she was in that Netflix show with De Niro. I'm glad she's still doing stuff. I mean, I obviously enjoyed her performance in Cloverfield. Was pretty disappointed her character didn't make it. Spoilers for a 17-year-old movie. Yeah, I tried being told to watch One Piece, but you just got to get past the first 200 episodes. 200. But that's what I mean. Like, I don't disagree that maybe One Piece is like, after the first 200 episodes, they find their stride and manage to produce one of the best animes ever. Like, I wouldn't even doubt that that's a possibility. But I do not have the time nor inclination to waste 200 episodes worth of time to get to that point. I have so little free time, even if I decided to quit streaming, just so I would have more free time to do whatever I wanted. I would still have so little free time that I do not have the patience or inclination to do something like that. I will gladly miss out on the greatest anime ever just so I don't have to watch 200 awful episodes of something. And it's actually because of that, I don't even like watch TV anymore. There are very, very few TV series that I have actually watched in the last number of years. Because TV tends to suck for someone in my situation. Because even if the show is like overall good, it's like the fact that there would be, no matter how good the show is, there tends to still be filler episodes. And I'm like, great, 45 minutes of my life I'll never get back. You know? Because that so which that has allowed me to get more into movies, because movies are a bit short, are obviously a shorter endeavor. And while it's been a long time that since I've been able to watch a movie all the way through without having to stop and like pick it up on another day, still a lot better to me than having to watch, you know, numerous episodes of a TV show and then they like half of them suck. Watch Andor. I can't even get through the first season of The Mandalorian, which I heard was fantastic. I watched like 4 episodes and then just haven't been able to pick it back up. And while I heard The Mandalorian's quality dipped in the subsequent seasons, I can't even get through Mandalorian. So, oh, you're really pushing this Andor thing. Well, what do you put it like that? Andor is nothing like any Star Wars you've seen. Well, that would be good, because Star Wars in general kind of sucks. It's about life under fascism and the necessity of resistance in an intensely political piece. Well, that would be nice versus the dreck that they put out on a normal basis. I don't hate Star Wars as much as Jay does, but I remember after the episode 9 that came out, Jay like put on Facebook, how the fuck does a movie series that only had 2 amazing entries be this fucking popular? He walked out of episode 9 that he was a victim of a hate crime. He was having none of it. How many episodes is Andor? That might dictate whether I watch it or not. Oh, 24 episodes. Oh, no. It's a complete story, and each season in of itself is a complete story. Each season break down to roughly 4 arcs told across 3 episodes apiece. Okay, well that might make it feel a little bit more manageable then. Because at least then there's... At least then I'll feel like I'm making progress. It's not like watching The Walking Dead, you know, where you can watch 4 episodes and be like, nothing has literally happened in 4 episodes. What the fuck? And I actually finished the original Walking Dead series. I watched the whole show. Possibly because I had a sunken cost fallacy problem. Where I was like, well, I'm already this fucking far in. I might as well finish the goddamn thing now. Still kind of mad at myself for doing that. Although, I gotta say, I'm probably gonna end up being roped into watching the poorly casted Harry Potter series on Amazon when it comes out. Just so I can, like, hate watch it. Just a word of warning, it's not really for children and portrays a labor death camp and genocide without sugarcoating it. I have not shown my kids Star Wars. My kids don't. So far, they don't have a lot of desire to watch anything that's live action. So I haven't showed them Star Wars. However, my elder daughter, at her after-school care, at the end of August, was shown at the after-school care that Netflix movie, K-Pop Demon Hunters. And it's been a really bad time for me ever since she watched it. Like, it's been a real bad time for me. Because now she is fucking obsessed with it. So maybe I should make her watch a show with like a death labor camp in it. Just she puts K-pop Demon Hunters down for a little bit. And then she'll be too depressed to listen to any of the annoyingly catchy songs that are in it. Ugh. God, my eyes are drying out from watching, from looking at this wad. Should have brought fucking eye drops. But that being said, Yodi, are you like a Star Wars fan in any other sense, or is it just Andor that did it for you? Hell no, have always been more of a Trek guy. I would say I certainly was too, but I was never a fan of the original series, which pisses off some purists. I was way more into TNG than I was the original series. As much as I appreciate that the original series had to exist for things like the Next Generation to exist, I can't get into the original series at all. You're old enough that TOS and TAS were the only Star Trek, and TAS was almost never on. I think you mean TNG, but whatever. Now, that being said, I can tell you one thing. The only Star Trek I have watched every episode of was Deep Space Nine. Oh, you mean the animated series. Sorry. Yeah, no, the only series that I have watched all the way through was Deep Space Nine. I actually forgot the animated series existed. That's why I was confused. I was about to say, you're not that old. But TNG started in the 80s, I want to say. So, TNG was post your time, but your birth, but so did you watch DS9, EOD? Were you a fan of Deep Space Nine? Because I could totally geek out about Deep Space Nine forever. I enjoyed it enough. Yeah, I know like a lot of like Trekkies consider it to be the worst series. I just don't think they appreciate it the way that they should. And I will firmly die on a hill that the character of Garrick is probably one of the greatest TV characters ever created, and I will die on that fucking hill. A lot of Trekkies consider really, because I've heard it be like called like the black sheep of the Star Trek canon. Because a lot of people, I think, blame it for Star Trek moving away a little bit from the sort of happy, unified humanity that Gene Roddenberry was hopeful for. Because there's episodes of Deep Space Nine where there's martial law declared on Earth and everything, which Gene Roddenberry would be like, "Excuse me?" We had to wait until Enterprise to get a character almost as great as Garrick, and Shran never got a chance to shine. You know, and I never actually watched Enterprise. I think I watched a single episode of Enterprise. And it was one of the goofy episodes where the head engineer gets pregnant. And yes, the head of engineering was a dude. It wavers between mediocre and bad for most of its run. That is the typical Enterprise episode. In fact, one of the worst ones? No, I think you're selling pregnant men a little bit short. But yeah, no, some people just think that Deep Space Nine got the show too far away from Gene Roddenberry's original vision, so they don't like it as a result. Even if you do ask me, it's a more realistic depiction that even in the future, humanity would still be kind of torn, no matter how idolized life had become. Because like Cisco says in the show, he says in Earth is now a paradise under the Federation, and it's easy to be moral in paradise. But out there in the depths of space, they can't always be moral. Things will be gray, and that wasn't the message that Gene was going for. So I don't know. I think a lot of people dislike it for that reason. Because then a whole bunch of other Trek shows would get into, like, dark storylines as a result. But Gene was coked out and burnt out during his time with TNG. He was. But TNG, at least at the start, up until, like, the Borg showed up, and didn't start to get good until he was completely sidelined. Once Riker had his beard, we were in business. What was I going to say? But TNG at its like start, like in its beginning phases, still kind of clung to that message that TOS had. So, you know, there are still some truly shitty episodes in season 2. Oh, I have no doubt. I just knew that if I turned on the show and Riker didn't have his beard, I just turned it off. I was like, there's no hope if he doesn't have his beard. There is literally zero hope if he doesn't have it. At least if he has it, there's hope, you know? I noticed Bitefire's not here again. Bitefire, since apparently you watched the VOD from last stream and will probably watch the VOD from this stream, stop. Get some help. You are missing literally nothing. Up the long ladder. Don't even know what it is. I don't even know what a lot of TNG, even like my favorite TNG episodes, don't even know what the names of the episodes are. But you see, it's a fantastically racist and mildly sexist episode of Trek. Fantastically racist. That's a great way of putting it. At least it was only mildly sexist and was just mostly racist. Way better. No, but even now, if I even if I had an inkling to rewatch the Dark Concepts LOL Space Irish. As someone who is of Irish descent, I am offended. But even now, if I ever have an inkling to rewatch Deep Space Nine, I probably still wouldn't, because, again, as somebody who has to be very careful with their time and to try and waste as little of it as possible, Deep Space Nine had the same problem that a lot of shows back then had when they were 22 episodes, especially 22 one-hour episodes. There were a lot of fillers that don't add to the overarching story and weren't good by themselves. So, yeah. Complete with British actors putting on wild Irish accents. I didn't know how Colm Meaney refrained from murdering someone. Probably because in America there wasn't a lot of opportunity for Irish actors to have roles. So he was probably just happy to be included. Because that's part of the thing. It's just like you get so happy to be included that you'll just go, yes, offend my entire culture. At least I get to be here. Shit like that wouldn't fly nowadays. But especially in the Wild West days of television. But yeah, I don't think I'd rewatch any. I'd watch any Trek shows now, given how much filler would be in most of them. And even now with the new series that have come out over the last few years that have fewer episodes a season, I still hear that their quality is a roller coaster, so I don't have the patience. I'll just continue doing what I'm usually doing, which is guilty pleasure watching horror films. Even though I'm well aware that horror films are much more likely to be bad than any other genre of film, I don't care. They are a guilty pleasure of mine, and usually only demand an hour and a half of my attention. This is still going? Well, Jay, you'll be happy to know that in just one moment, I will be done the first loop of the level. And I will only have to do it 3 more times. The worst part is with some of these line deaths, like Doom Guy could totally jump over this and is just choosing not to. There you go, Jay. The first loop is now done. In fact, I might just go back and do exactly what I just did. I'm going to go back to the same tower and start from exactly where I left off. I'm going to do a backup save in case I get there, and it's like, nope, you forgot to lower it. You wouldn't? Why not? Any particular reason why? I'd keep your normal progression. That way you don't have to force yourself to remember what you did last. Alright, fair enough. And I believe that this would therefore be the very first loop I had done the very first time I loaded up this level. And we'll be finishing up shortly, so I hope you all enjoyed this fantastic stream of exciting, hard-hitting Doom gameplay. I'll finish up by saying, if you can't, don't watch Star Trek, just watch Farscape. I love the shit out of that show. As goofy as it fucking was on some occasions. Yes, Jay, Farscape. One of the bestest science fiction shows ever written. Despite how fucking goofy it could be at times. It had a slew of fantastic episodes. You convinced me to watch it? Well, I mean, yes, and also no. You were like 75% responsible. I had seen a couple of random episodes of it before you were telling me, before you were like convinced me to watch it. Yeah, it was on mostly daily. I think it was only weekdays. But I'd seen a couple of episodes before you were trying to get me to watch it. And young teenage Brad thought the hot white alien would be enough to watch the show over. But no, I truly think it's one of the best science fiction shows made. It's goofy, but it knows that it's goofy, so that's the best combination for me. Still no revival? Well, it'd be way too late to do one now. The actors are getting on in the years, and is the actor that played Scorpio even still alive? Scorpius? Sorry. Is he even still alive? He was like old then. Plus, I feel like I'm already getting irked by them resurrecting these old shows. Cause like, Jesus Christ, just got hit with the ASMR Twitch commercial. It's listening, Yodi. The algorithm is listening. It knows you want to watch some of that fantastic Doom ASMR. You still kicking? Well, I'm glad to hear that. But he's probably at an age where he probably wouldn't want to do the show. But at the same time, I'm kind of sick of them trying to revive old shows anyway, because like it's really, really difficult to revive an old show and try to capture the magic that the old, like the show had in its heyday. So even if they revived Farscape now, could they really make it as good as it was in the past? Considering that they would have to change the show up a little bit, there were still some, episodes that haven't aged gracefully. Pleasantly surprised when I think back how few episodes were super problematic. Or even problematic at all, but there was a few that were like... probably wouldn't fly. So then by its very nature, they would have to change the show from what it originally was to have it on TV nowadays. Which would, in fact, affect the magic of it. So I don't think there's much point in reviving a lot of these old shows. Fuck. Maybe they're like, I don't know, is there like a Farscape rewatch podcast with members of the cast? Maybe my eventual dream will be to listen to one of those. I feel like that would be a better use of my time than trying to watch a revival anyway. Don't know the answer to that? Well, now that I've asked it, I'm sure you're going to look it up to find out. It's just going to be one of those pieces of information that you're going to be like, well, now I need to know. Because I am currently listening to the Boy Meets World rewatch podcast when I'm during my work commute. And it's generally been a good time so far. So if there was one for Farscape, I'd probably watch that. I would probably listen to that. And it would motivate me to watch the show again, so I could rewatch every episode before they talk about it. We're going to finish up once I get to the top of this elevator here. And that's where we're going to finish up for this evening. We are almost 4 hours into the level, and I've got the first loop done. So I'm technically a little bit ahead of schedule. A little bit. Although I have no idea what the final fight's going to look like or how long that's going to take, so I may not actually be as close as that. But right now, I'm ahead of schedule, and that's how I'm going to keep myself motivated. So thanks for those who popped in and said hello or talked. So Jay, Yodi, and Loser Corner. Everybody else who's popped in and out during the stream, I see you and appreciate you. Thank you for sitting with me and having a chat to make this not a boring endeavor. I really appreciate it. So the plan right now, I believe, is Dune for at least Thursday. I do believe Jay said he wouldn't be available Friday. If he is not available, I will be streaming this instead, because I will dedicate as much of my spare time to getting Junk Food 4 done as humanly possible, especially because I would want to try and get it done before October rolls around, which is when I would have to start doing all my horror stuffs. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and I will be back with Dune Awakening on Thursday. Good night, guys. Just keep running. Just keep running. Just keep running, running, running. Just keep running. Just keep running. Just keep running, running, running.